G'day guys, and welcome to a preview for Wednesday, the 18th of April. It is the first time we've seen the Kensington track, the inner track at Randwick, for a long time. Brand new surface, rail in a true position. All reports say this track's going to race really fast. It's horses that have galloped on it seem to absolutely fly. They're sort of likening it to a bit of nearly a pro ride surface, the way the horses are getting over it. So as long as the matting or the track itself holds up and doesn't chop out, it should play really fast, hard to run on. I would imagine having to keep a close eye on that sort of thing, because if it does chop up that inside and it starts getting down the outside, the pattern could change quickly. But we'll be keeping a close eye on that as the day unfolds. But setting up for the meeting, very sympathetic to those on pace, especially in races where it looks like they might get it cheap in front, or even runners that look like they might get a bit of a loose lead and kick away at odds. There's a couple that do look interesting, and if the track is playing as fast as they say, it definitely could be a solid advantage to be in front on that fence. First race of the day, 1300 metre open handicap for the 2-year-olds. It's a very difficult race because absolutely devoid of pace, basically no leader whatsoever. Federation did lead last start at Hawkesbury, but I know they'd rather take a sit with this horse. I thought the two possible horses that could go forward naturally after being restrained in the first start was Quadriga, who's drawn the outside gate, had debuted in Melbourne. Not a lot of luck there at all, was jagged from a wide gate, and Gododin, who was also jagged from a wide gate its first start in a race at Warwick Farm. Definitely thinking that one of those two could roll forward. Federation should be there naturally. Charge probably next. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the two David Payne runners even tried to roll forward. They look pretty one-paced, so probably an advantage for them to get up there. I think that if Gododin and Quadriga, whichever one of them does roll forward, if they both roll forward, they can pretty much control the tempo and control the race. Federation obviously has a bit of improvement in it. The way they backed it last start, I do think there's obviously good ability there somewhere. But I'd rather back the two improvers in Quadriga and Georgia Hit. Really interested in Quadriga. Quadriga and Gododin, not Georgia Hit. Georgia Hit looks like he needs a bit further than this to really hit his straps. Charge is the other horse that's solid in the betting. I just thought it had its chance first up. A couple of gear changes and the extra 100 metres might be okay, but I'm just keen to bet around it at this stage. It's pretty similar to Federation. I'm just gambling on the others two having a little bit more ability in the tank at this stage. So Quadriga and Gododin for me in race 1. Race 2, not clear what's going to happen here at the start. I know again all too free probably just got going. I think they did control the tempo but weak and late, so I'd say they'd rather take a sit with this horse. They might have their hands tied from the wide gate today, and it may be forced to go forward. I can't see any place where this horse doesn't work in the run. You've got two Waterhouse runners in Lusk and Ty Lass. This horse I thought was ridden a little bit quiet last start and one pace to the line, so I would be surprised if they push forward with it. And the other stablemate, Sazavi, likely to roll forward as well. So all too free probably has to work from that gate, and I'm hoping this horse stock up, kicks up and tries to cross as many runners as it can inside it. Deft obviously on debut has shown it does have pace, not ridden 4 speed in its trials, but definitely does have enough pace to hold a position just behind these leaders. I think Stock Up and Deft are obviously the two that you're most interested in from a hardest to beat point of view. But the horse that I did find that I thought was quite interesting, this crossover nose, again going on Asioma, just the one trial since last start failure at Warwick Farm, but that was 133 days ago. See, a little bit of a rev, but enough speed to hold an inside position here. I think even if it is 3 back the inside, I liked what this horse did in the worst part of the track when allowed to run for a little bit there, sort of did sprint up in the worst part of the track, allowed to go to the line, fair enough. I think this horse can improve at 20-1 with Glenn Schofield aboard. Just thought it looked a bit of a knockout chance, but Deft and stock up from Deft probably for me. Tory Joy got going keen in a trial and over-raced a little bit. It's got a rough open. Luskin Lass, if it finds the front and is ridden aggressively, probably can improve enough to really give him a scare as well. But as I said, sort of stock up from Deft. Hardest to beat. Clear value runner, Asioma. Race 3. Super duper speed here. Say Stella looks a really, really fast horse, hoping it sets the tempo. Coming across with it, likely is mad at Art. Kicking up underneath it, I'm just hoping Say Stella can cross it, excelling coming across from the outside, but I don't think it's anywhere near as fast as those two inside horses. Mossman Gorgeous, kind of drawn Devil in the Deep Blue, Sedition, wants to get on speed, looks a one pace sort of really fast type. And then there's a bunch that sort of want to settle just off the speed. I think they'll really split up here early. I think Say Stella Revenue is the interesting horse, but where's it going to end up? Definitely well enough found around the $3.50 mark. I think it's probably about its right price, but it will need a lot of luck from that inside draw. It could easily end up 3-4 back the fence. As you can see, nearly every runner has better speed than it drawn wide. So it's a bit of a nightmare draw for Revenue, but if it gets the luck, it's definitely the horse to beat. Looks the obvious turn-of-foot swooper. There's a couple of other horses in this race, like Warranty, Royal Phoenix, who probably will be strong late, but slightly more one-pace types that, if they get to the middle, they could be dangerous, but they could go that quick here that they could get run off their legs. So Stella for me is the one that can give the best sight. If it finds the fence, it can definitely give a huge sight. I hope they don't try and hold it up too much. They use its natural speed because it definitely has plenty of it, and it should be the hardest to beat at the on paces. And then I really think it's about whether Revenue gets a run or whether Warranty or maybe even Royal Phoenix excelling comes down the outside as a swooper. It's definitely not a straightforward race. If I had to have a bet one out, it'd be Revenue and hope for a little bit of luck. But I do think there's a few other winning chances if Revenue has no luck. And if Say Stella is held up, I think it's I'd rather see Say Stella run along, split them up, chance its hand. Revenue then should get the run and is the danger. Race 4, not a race I'm too keen on at all. Staying race, no speed. Bon Equus looks to control it unless something strange happens. Nothing looks set up to run a strong 2400, really. Hoof Hustlers looks really one-paced and looks like it'll run the trip, but just a very one-batty sort of type. Just Keep Giving looks to be going well enough. Jagger's going okay to Williker, drops back in grade off a failure in top grade. Only Tiger looks to only be an honest battling type and should just do the same thing it does here. There's about 5 or 6 each way chances here, and I really can't split them up too much. I thought Bon Equus was the one to beat simply because it's draw, but not the easiest of races to work out, and not a race I have really any interest in betting wise at all. Race 5. Very interesting Arancini here. We were on it last start. And as you said, he just never made an attempt to get off. Drawn the inside gate here, in behind the leader. The winner gets off his back, ends up widest runner. He just stays in there, never even looking for an inside run, if anything. Never looks to even get off the leader's heels here. Just ducks back to the inside, which is clearly the worst ground. The horse that was on his back gets to the outside, has all the momentum, and a solid win. I didn't think he really gave up his ghost there, back in the worst part of the ground. Thought if it held the front here, which it does look possible, unless Wallace ends sort of multifacets or do buy and style out, even Reby Ramp Up probably has the pace to cross if he wants to, that Arancini could certainly hold the front and run a really bold race. Don't really want to see it third the fence ideally, but did show that it can run on from an off-pace position. I just think it's a really big horse that appreciates a bit of room, and that leading spot would be much more beneficial than taking the sit. Seaway's a horse that certainly should appreciate the step up in distance. Got shuffled back there first up and just didn't look itself, didn't look to really get going until late. Up to the 1550 looks far more suitable. Who else have we got here? Our Mantra drops back from 2,000 metres to 1450, has a bit of quality, certainly didn't run the trip out and really ran into the race okay there, so I think it can definitely improve and looks better priced of the two of it and Seaway. Probably hard fit Our Mantra. Seaway may need the one more run, jumping up to the 1550 here, second up off just a fair effort first up. It wasn't great. Almighty Crown won first up, pace assisted from a backward position, goes up 150 metres here and draws okay, but probably still only settles midfield. You'd say it's better positioned here than it was first up, so it has to have a chance, especially if they do run along, which I can't really see it happening, but if they do run along, it can be closing late. And Dubai Styles one that I wanted to risk here. 28 days between runs, back in distance from its first up run onto a firm track, which is definitely a negative for this horse, and multifacets. 32 days between runs, dropping in trip. Also is a horse I'd like to risk. So I really do think it's four main winning chances, but Arancini represents the best value. Our Mantra should get the right run just in behind them and dropping in grades. The other one I could entertain backing. Seaway certainly can win, and so can Almighty Crown. Race 6. Poets Advocate only really knows one way and looks to get the front here. I'm hoping that we'll see here Bravissimo can follow it across from that outside gate. I think Bright Future won't go around, so the two of them should lead and dictate. Then it's kind of Virilio, I think, can definitely measure up here. Should drop into a good little trailing position, maybe a few come across from wider gates. It's certainly a race that looks there for the taking. I thought the two on paces in Poets Advocate and Bravissimo could run positive races. If Virilio sits just in behind them, it can also run a positive race at odds. I'm just checking their odds at the moment. We're sort of talking 20 to 1 Virilio, 20 to 1 Poets Advocate, and about $9 for Bravissimo. I thought they were the three on paces that looked to get the right runs. Sexy Eyes can hold a position sort of somewhere there near Virilio, and the two of them look the first challengers to the two leaders, which gives Sexy Eyes certainly a very good chance. It's probably a deserved favourite with its solid form on the board. Campaign's one pace. Schubert looks to be drawn awkwardly, but can certainly win. Was a nice solid win first up. Thard will get back again on the inside and need luck. It's not one of my sort of horses. It's definitely a horse that needs luck, and he's certainly very one-paced and awoke. Similar, drawn an awkward draw here, and not one of my horses. A pretty one-paced type that will need a lot of luck and probably things to go wrong for other runners. So I think it's a value race here. I think Virilio, Poets Advocate, Bravissimo are the value, and Sexy Eyes the horse that's hardest to beat, but is much shorter in the market. A lot more value in that race than the last for mine. I think Iron Poppy and hopefully Nine's Enough gets across outside the leader here, and they can control the tempo, control the race. There is a chance that that Nine's Enough could get caught wide, especially if Iron Poppy struggles to cross those inside it, but I can't see either Echelere, Palladian, Oscar's Choice, or How Sweet It Is wanting to hold Iron Poppy out. They'll all be happy to take a sit on it. So if it gets across and then Nine's Enough's able to cross Realised Potential and Zafina, I think these two can really wrap the race up between them and fight it out. The Palladian looks the most suited closer in the race. It was certainly pace assisted first up when running a placing, and does probably need to improve off that, but if they do carve each other up in front, it can be getting home, as well as Zafina. I thought Realised Potential was drawn a pretty awkward gate here in first up. He's a big type that probably needs the run, even though he's got a bit of class on these. It's just not an easy task with the big weight from that wide draw first up. So Nine's Enough, the just slight advantage to me from Iron Poppy ability wise. If he gets across, it's the one I want to be on, but Iron Poppy is more likely to get to that on pace position more comfortably, so can't really split them in chance wise, but I do think 9's enough, the more talented of the two to my eye. So that's a quick look at the day. Hopefully have a bit of luck, and the Kensington track plays okay at its first run in, but it is a meeting where we'll certainly be keeping a really close eye on it throughout the day, and any adjustments will be notified. Thanks, guys.